Chris Godinez, licensed professional counselor, also the host of We Need to Talk on every Sunday at noon. And then I post it up to Facebook and Patreon and all that sort of good stuff. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. Hey guys, the views and opinions stated herein are mine and mine alone. They do not represent the ACA, the APA, or any other damn therapist for that matter. Boom, shakalaka done. Okay. I want to thank my sponsor, BetterHelp, BetterHelp, BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez. They're an online therapy company. They are amazing. They do chats. You can chat with them. If you can't talk out loud, you can chat with them, which I think is pretty darn cool. Gotten a lot of good feedback from people using them. They're very happy with them. So thank you. BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez. You just go on, fill out some questions, and they'll put you with a licensed professional, master's level or PhD level therapist in your area, and they're international. So if you need to get to a therapist, go to BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez anywhere in the world. Okay, cool. That is out of the way. Announcements. Made it home over the grapevine. That was a little scary. We cut our trip short. So came back on Wednesday, and as we were driving over the grapevine, it started snowing and it was foggy and people were still doing 80 miles an hour. And I'm like, clearly none of you people have driven in the snow before. So that was, glad I'm home. Glad I'm home. So there is that. The next one is going to be in Vancouver, BC. That will be May 20th. So May 20th, Vancouver, BC is the next meet and greet. So you go to chrisgodinez.com and you can get your tickets there. So, and I will tell you where it is after you've bought your tickets. So there that is, but it's going to be in Vancouver, BC. So there is that. And then, yes, I am doing Portland, Oregon, Boise, and Salt Lake City this summer. I'm thinking July, might be August, not sure. Niece has still not gotten back to me. So need to figure out, I mean, she has, but she's like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, that's okay. So we'll figure it out. So there is that. Okay. I think, is there any other announcements? Trying to think. Nope. I think that's it. Okay. All right. So, of course, my books are available on Amazon. So you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him cha-cha, is about why some people get involved in relationships that are abusive and stay in them and others leave. The other one is What's Wrong with Your Dad, which is my story of my life of how I got to this point because of my crazy family. So there is that. There's another one. Oh, so you want to be a therapist. So if you're interested or you know someone who's interested in being a therapist, I give them the lowdown on what it's like to really be a therapist because I don't think the movies don't really do justice to what we do. So there that is. And of course, they do a lot of things that I'm just like, no good therapist would do that. Thank you. All right. Today, heavy topic. We're going to be talking about psychopathy. We're going to be talking about dark triads. So the ultimate control. The ultimate control is when an abuser kills themselves, kills the family, kills the dog, kills the pets, kills. They're killers. They're awful. They're horrible. So, like I said, every month for the last 20 years, there's been 2 incidences of mass family killings. But why? Why do they kill their family and then why do they kill themselves? Or why do they not kill the family but kill themselves? So, okay, lots of stuff we got to talk about here. Psychopathy is not in the DSM-5. Why? I have no idea. The powers that be, honestly, I don't agree with a lot of what the APA does. So I don't know why it's not in the DSM-5. It is a thing. There are psychopaths out there. Abso-freaking-lutely. So, okay. So it's what we have in the DSM-5 now is antisocial personality disorder. So let me read to you what antisocial personality disorder is. Okay. Okay, hang on just a second. Failure to conform to basic social norms in ways that violate the law. Repeated violation of the physical or emotional rights of others. Well, that's every abuser you've ever had to deal with. Lack of stability in job and home life. May go through long periods of unemployment, for example, even in localities or situations where the jobs are readily available. A lot of narcissists do that because they're dark triads. Irritability and aggression may get into frequent fights or rages. Yes. Lack of remorse after harming someone or their property. Like they just don't care. They just don't care. There is no empathy there. They cannot put themselves into somebody else's shoes and go, oh my God, what must that be like? They don't do that. Consistent irresponsibility. Sounds like a lot of narcissists. Recklessness, impulsivity, deceitfulness. Childhood diagnosis or symptoms consistent with conduct disorder should generally be present before the age of 15. So that is antisocial. Now, the Hare Psychopathy Checklist, as you will see, very similar. Glib and superficial charm. Very glib, very superficial. A lot of times we call them charming narcissists. So are they narcissists or are they psychopaths? Well, here's the thing. Here are 20 traits assessed by the PCL-R score, by the Hare psychology, psychopathy thing. Okay, glib and superficial charm. Grandiose, extremely high estimation of self. Well, that sounds like a narcissist. Need for stimulation. They get bored incredibly easy. Like they need that constant adrenaline hit, that kind of thing. Cunning and manipulative. So when I was working in the homeless shelter, and I know I've told this story before, I was dealing with this psychopath, essentially, that was a sex offender. My coworker said you could see the flames of hell burning in his eyes, and you could. He was just absolutely 110%. I would not turn my back on him, and I would not be in the room alone with him. He was always looking like a shark. It was like he was constantly, reading who he could take advantage of, like just who's vulnerable, who can I get, who can I, and you could just see it, and it was one of those, the psychopathic stare. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that. It is chilling. It's like they're looking at you, but they're looking right through you, and they're trying to assess where they can get you physically, mentally, emotionally, or otherwise. So yeah, they are terrifying. I do not like being around them. That's one of the reasons why I'm glad I'm no longer working at the homeless shelter. I did love it though. Oh my God, it was dangerous and it was fun. And it was great helping the ones that wanted to be helped. Oh my God. I mean, for every psychopath, there was at least 10 others that really did want to get help. So that was nice. Okay. Lack of remorse, shallow affect, superficial emotional responsiveness. So in other words, they will describe, oh, I'm sad, but there's nothing that tells you that they're sad. Oh, I'm, I feel remorse, but there's nothing that tells you that they feel remorse. Generally, when people feel remorse, they feel terrible. Oh my God, I am so sorry. I hurt you. I own it. But psychopaths, narcissists, they're never going to own their shit ever, 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 ever on this or any other planet. They're never going to own it ever. So they're superficial. It's like they say the emotions, but they don't feel them. And a great example of that is I was watching Signs of a Psychopath on ID channel. I know, I watch for relaxation, but I find it fascinating because this is what I deal with. So Signs of a Psychopath, this kid had murdered as a teenager, was coming up for parole. And in his parole hearing, he was sobbing, but he never needed a Kleenex. And there was nothing coming down his face. And the prosecutor got it. I was like, oh, thank you, Jesus, that you found that you realized he was playing you. And so, I feel really, and he was doing all the sounding like he was sobbing, never needed a Kleenex, no snot coming out of his nose, no tears dripping down his eyes, but he was doing all of the, that kind of thing. And there was nothing going on. And the prosecutor totally called it out. And I was like, thank you for studying psychology. And I've seen them do that. When I used to do couples counseling, I would see them do that in the session to get the sympathy of the target of abuse. And I would have to point out, you don't need a Kleenex. You're not really crying. And that's when they would storm out of the room. So anyway, there is that. Okay, continuing with the checklist. Callousness, lack of empathy. They're callous. There's no empathy. They can't John and I will read the news in the morning. Like this morning, there was a immigrant boat that capsized off the coast of Italy, and 40 people died. And both of us were like, "Oh my God, that's terrible." And 80 people survived, so thank God they survived. But it's like if you're not moved by that, there's something wrong with you, because that's the loss of a human being, children usually. So empathy is that ability to go, oh my God, what would that be like to be in that little ship, crossing this ocean in the middle of winter, trying to get somewhere safe, only to be capsized, and now your entire family is decimated. It just boggles the mind. Okay, so continuing on. Parasitic lifestyle. OMG. So how many of us have been involved with a narcissist, dark triad, that refused to work, that refused to get a job, that refused to, contribute, that refused to do the child care? I'm not babysitting my kids. You're not babysitting them, jerk. Those are your children. You're watching them. You know what I'm saying? So it's like they don't want to contribute to the house. They don't want to work. They don't want to do housework. They don't want to help bring in money. They don't want to, nothing. Me, I, more my genitals. That's them. So they're parasitic. They live off of other people. They're con artists. A lot of times they're con artists. So they'll, oh, this next big thing. Oh, pyramid scam. They'll get involved in pyramid scams because they want something easy. They want something for nothing, is basically what they do. So they do a lot of pyramid scams. They do a lot of cons, that kind of thing. Poor behavioral controls. So in other words, they cannot control their behaviors. Yes and no. I'll agree with that to a certain extent. A lot of psychopaths read the room. Like I said, that shark. Who's vulnerable? What do they want? How can I make myself into what they want so I can get them? That kind of thing. But when a psychopath or a narcissist has been cornered and exposed, they'll explode. They'll have rages. They'll scream and shout and flip the script and all this stuff. So you betcha. Okay, continuing on. Sexual promiscuity. So affair after affair after affair after affair. Trying to get their partner to do sexual acts that they would not be comfortable with, trying to film them, trying to get them engaging in menage a trois or orgies or things like that. Because then what they do is they turn around and go, see, you're just as bad as I am. So now, again, if everybody's on the same page and everybody is okay, hi, baby, as Moana's walking in, is everybody on the same page and okay with, multiple sex partners? That's great. Generally, those psychopaths and narcissists, they are sadistic. They're sadistic. And so they enjoy making somebody do something that they aren't comfortable doing. So that's kind of the difference there. Sexual promiscuity, in that they'll have affairs, multiple affairs all the time. They also do kind of like serial affairs. They'll stick with one person for a while until they've used them up, and then they'll switch to somebody else. Early behavior problems. So this is where the conduct disorder comes in. So early behavior problems would be, lighting fires, arson, stealing, kleptomania, not adhering to societal rules. They don't adhere to societal rules. Lack of realistic long-term goals. Oh my God. So this is both with narcissism and psychopaths. They feel that they should be given everything on a silver platter. So they don't have realistic long-term goals. They're like, well, I'm going to be the CEO of this company and da-da-da-da-da. Yet they haven't done anything to get to be a CEO. Does that make sense? So they've got this like magic thinking fantasy kind of, I deserve this. I need to be a manager. I need to be an owner. I need to be this, but they're not doing anything to get there. And they refuse to go through the normal steps, starting at the bottom of the ladder and working their way up. Nope. They want to jump straight to the top, and it doesn't work that way. So they've got some really unrealistic long-term goals. They don't think normally, which is not surprising. Okay. Impulsivity. So psychopaths sometimes are very cunning and very methodical. But if they've got other things going on, which a lot of them do, because remember, when you start, because this is on a spectrum, so as you start sliding further and further down the line, all of the personality disorders start overlapping. Impulsivity plays into that. So it's kind of that, there was an old Buffy episode where she was hanging around with, the girl's name. Darn it, why can't I think of her name? Anyway, the bad influence. And she was, like, oh, I see, I want, I take. So she smashed the jewelry case and grabbed the stuff and ran. So that's kind of what psychopaths do. It's like if they want something, they'll just take it without thinking of, consequences, because they don't think the rules apply to them. So they're very impulsive, incredibly irresponsible. Irresponsibility. They don't pay debts. They don't honor bills. They don't, take responsibility for what they say or do. They're incredibly irresponsible. Failure to accept responsibility for their own actions. Yes. Many short-term marital relationships. So they'll get involved in a relationship and then divorce, and then get involved in a relationship and marry and divorce, marry and divorce, marry and divorce, marry and divorce. It's the same thing with the affairs. Juvenile delinquency, oftentimes. Revocation of their conditional release from a jail or a prison, and criminal versatility. So in other words, they can switch from, robbery to murder, or, con artist to, white collar. I mean, they're incredibly versatile in their criminality. Yay. So, all right. So there is that. I hope that kind of explains. They're very similar. Antisocial and psychopathy are very similar, but it's like psychopathy, antisocial, borderline, narcissist, all of these personality disorders are on a scale, and as they slide further and further down the scale, they all start overlapping. So the question I got is, why in the world would an abuser kill themselves? Well, plenty of reasons. So it's the ultimate control. And especially if they're killing themselves and taking out personal property. Okay. So let's say, for example, that there's a divorce going down. And so the wife and the kids get the house and the car and whatever other property. An abuser will burn the house down, wreck the car, kill themselves as it's the ultimate control. It's the ultimate screw you. I call it a hit and run screw you is what it is. So that's the only time they'll do it, is if they're not assured of winning. So the more psychopathic they are, the crazier they are, essentially, the more likely they are to harm themselves and harm somebody else. So in other words, let's work this through here. Narcissists, yes. If it was just narcissism, no, I don't think they would kill themselves, because they've got this delusion that they're the greatest thing since sliced bread and they're God. And so why would they kill themselves, right? But if you throw in psychopathy on top of that, now you've got this really, truly delusional way of thinking, this impulsivity, like really impulsive, like they don't think things through. It's kind of like, healthy, normal people can kind of go, oh, if I kill myself, game over for this lifetime, but they don't. To them, it's kind of like, I'll show you, I'll fix your wagon. And that's what they do. They're very vindictive. They're incredibly, it's like you're dealing with a 2-year-old on a bad day. Seriously. So it's impulsive and it's vindictive. And so they're doing it to hurt, to harm, to get the ultimate control. And it's in their sick heads. It's like, ha, 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 you're going to feel guilty because they know you feel and they don't. And ha, 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 I destroyed all the property that you were going to get in the divorce. They're evil, guys. I'm sorry. And if you throw that on top of with a family, so let's say there were little kids involved, right? They're not thinking about the kids. They don't care about even their own children. This is how, what's the word I'm looking for? This is how debased they are. This is how vile they are. This is how selfish they are. They don't care what it's going to do to the kids. So when a parent commits suicide, it affects the kids. It does. When a parent kills themselves in the middle of a divorce, it is definitely going to affect the kids. You're going to definitely need to get those kids into trauma therapy. Absolutely. 110%. Not only to deal with the divorce itself, but to deal with the fact that the parent that was abusive, and that they were mentally unhinged and chose to punish you and the kids by burning down the house, destroying the car, blowing through the marital assets, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So basically, they're vile. They don't care. We literally, our children with them have no more meaning to them than this pen. It is something to be used as far as they are concerned. And in a scenario like that, the goal of the psychopath is to turn those kids against you. See, mommy made me kill myself. See, mommy's a bad person, so I had to kill myself. So they're from the grave trying to do parental alienation. If I could be throwing middle fingers right now, I would. I hope the son of a bitch is roasting in hell. I really do. Because that is vile. Because those kids are going to have to live with this. And those kids are going to have to go through trauma therapy in order to help them understand it had nothing to do with them, had nothing to do with the mom, had everything to do with the abuser. Period. Absolutely, period. So, and if you'll notice, and I've talked about this before, abusers a lot of times will use the threat of suicide to control the soon-to-be ex, because they're counting on the ex coming back and being afraid of that person actually killing themselves. And you know what? If they actually kill themselves, that's on them. That is their choice. It is 110%. It is never the target of abuse's fault for leaving. It never is. But they will use that because they know we feel. They know we have empathy. They know we go, oh my God, no, I don't want that person to do that. Of course, we don't want that person. We don't want anybody to do that. Even if they were our abuser, we still, because we actually have a soul, you know? It's like we actually feel. We actually have empathy. We actually are like, I want everyone to win. I just want everybody to be conscious. Wouldn't that be nice? What a wonderful world that would be. Anyway, so that is why they do that. They've got an overdeveloped sense of, what's the way I'm thinking of? Overdeveloped sense of revenge, overdeveloped sense of control. And they literally, in their crazy magic thinking, are going, I'm going to control from the grave. This is how I'm going to get my way. This is how I'm going to win. Because remember, it has to be a win for them. It can never be equality, ever. They have to be one up, always. So in their crazy mind, they win. Even though they're dead and the house is gone and the car is gone and the money's gone. And it's insane. It's insane. Short answer, they're insane. Long answer, they've got multiple personality disorders going on. So it's the impulsivity that does that. And the worst ones are the ones who kill the whole family and then kill themselves. Because again, control, because they're trying to control. It's like, see, I'm God. I can take away your life. I'm God. If that's not evil, I don't know what is. So yeah, that's why they do it. It's control. It is the ultimate control. In their crazy minds, they win. So yeah, it's things that make me go, oh my God. So yeah, so this is why they do things. So the next article I pulled up, so that other one was from the Robert Hare. You just look up the Robert Hare psychopathy evaluation. Do psychopaths really understand that they are hurting people? I don't think they care. So there is primary psychopathy and there is secondary psychopathy. So I wanted to talk about this. So hang on just a second. So primary psychopathy, remember how we always talk about nature nurture? Okay, primary psychopathy is when there is definitely something going on in the brain. It is genetic. It is something's wrong. This person cannot process emotions or empathy or whatever. So that's primary psychopathy. Secondary psychopathy is environmental. So, for example, a great example would be Dexter, right? Do you remember the show Dexter? So he witnessed violence and this, that, and the other thing. And so then he became a serial killer, but he was a serial killer that only killed bad guys, which, okay, whatever. So it's environmental. So primary is genetic, secondary is environmental. Now, here's the thing though. Here's what I see abusers do. Oh, I had a bad childhood. Boo hoo hoo. Feel sorry for me. Okay. I think a lot of us had bad childhoods, especially those of us raised by narcissists or, abusers. We didn't become, violent or hurting people or lying or cheating or stealing or violating societal rules or any of that. So when they give the excuse, oh, I had a bad childhood. Guess what? It's a choice. You have a choice. Either you're going to help other people and be a real human being, or you're going to be a selfish person and go hurt people. Not okay. Not okay. So don't fall for it when they do the whole, oh, I had a bad childhood. That's why I screamed at you. That's why I hit you. That's why I love. Don't buy it. Don't buy it. It's not, it may explain their behavior, but it sure as frick does not excuse it. Okay? Does not excuse it at all, period. So there is that. They do know that they are hurting you, but they oftentimes are sadistic. So there is a role of childhood abuse and neglect in people that grow up to become abusers. So yeah, you can either grow up to become an abuser yourself, or you become a champion, or you start using drugs and alcohol to try to numb it. So that's why it's so important to get kids into therapy when there has been abuse. Okay, so this article, also Psychology Today, 9 clues that you may be dealing with a psychopath. Okay. Currently, researchers have returned to using the term psychopath, which they should. Some of them use that term to refer to the more serious disorder linked to genetic traits. So that's primary, secondary. Okay. Number 1, uncaring. The PCL, which I just read you, it lists callousness and lack of empathy, cold-heartedness, dissocial personality. They're dissocial, they're antisocial. Callous unconcern for the feelings of others. Okay, shallow emotions. I think we've talked about that. They don't experience guilt, shame, embarrassment, etc. They have a poverty in effective reactions. They lack remorse or shame. Irresponsibility. We talked about that. Insincere speech. So they're glib. Charming narcissists is what we used to call them. Overconfident, narrowing of attention. So they can't handle things, everything going on. Okay. Yeah, they're kind of, yeah. Yeah, they can't handle multiple things going on. It's like they're like a shark. They're very centered, and this is what I need to do and this is what I need to get done. Very selfish, inability to plan for the future, violence. Those are all things to watch out for. And now I wanted to talk about, because we're running out of time, I wanted to talk about the link between malignant hysteria and female psychopathy. Okay, there are females that are psychopaths. Abso-freaking-lutely. They present a little differently, though, than male psychopaths. Malignant hysteria is the heart of the female psychopath. Okay, hold on. I wanted to get to... Okay, newly proposed psychopathy descriptors specific to women. They wanted to revise the PCLR because it's mostly geared towards men. So with the female psychopath, a lot of the same stuff is there, but there is a lot of histrionic. There's a lot of, so the superficiality, pathological self-focus, manipulative behavior, absence of remorse, pseudo-emotionality / unstable affect. So they're all over the place. They're, fake emotions, raging, the whole thing. Empathic deficits, opportunistic interpersonal relationships. They use people like nobody's business, and they'll fake the emotions to do it. Indiscriminate sexual behavior. And yeah. So there are female psychopaths as well. Now, this last article I wanted to read is called My Abuser Killed Himself from Hopeless to Healing. So this woman was in a vicious custody battle. The ex was abusive. He abused the kids. He had ample monetary means to litigate this person to the point of financial abuse. And when it looked like he wasn't going to win, so here's the reason why he killed himself. This is what I wanted to read. Okay. Our most recent custody evaluation exposed his lies, verbal assaults, and emotional abuse of my son, Jake. The custody evaluator recommended that I receive more parenting time and that Alex seek help from a parenting coach. She also disagreed with Alex's motion to change Jake's school. Once the report came out, Alex began to distance himself from our son and told me that he would only see Jake if Jake, who was 14 at the time, arranged the visitation. 3 months later, Alex's brother called me. Alex had killed himself with a gunshot to his head. My reaction caught me off guard. I was crying. It was a pit in the stomach. So basically, she had to go through what the heck happened. And what her counselor told her was, this guy suffered narcissistic mortification. In other words, he lost. He lost and he wasn't going to win. And more than likely, his attorney told him he wasn't going to win. And so once he realized he wasn't going to get what he wanted, he put it on to the son, who's only 14, again, trying parental alienation. And then when he realized that wasn't going to work, he killed himself. So again, it's all about power and control. And this one is called My Abuser Killed Himself from Hopeless to Healing by Mild High Mamas. And it was in Motherhood. So you can look that up. So there is that. So basically, the reason why they do what they do, why they kill themselves, why they kill other people. Oh, thank you. Why they kill the family and then kill themselves. It's all about control. It is all about the ultimate control. And you see these in the news all the time. And it's horrifying for the family that's left behind. It's horrifying for the children. It's horrifying for the ex. It makes no sense because you and I would put the kids first. We would be like, nope, these are my kids. No matter how angry I am, no matter how hopeless I am, I cannot kill myself because these little guys need me. That's what a healthy, normal person would do, right? They're not healthy. They're not normal. Let me just be clear. They're cuckoo for freaking Cocoa Puffs, okay? There's no other way to put it. And in their mind, they would rather be dead and leave you holding the emotional bag with the kids, parental alienation from the grave, and to leave you destitute, burn the house down, destroy the car, plow through all of the finances, whatever, and leave you destitute. It's the ultimate control. So they have this realization that they're not going to win. Oh, I know. I'll do the ultimate win. Screw you. Hit and run, screw you. So that is what is going on. So if you are in a situation like that, if you have a situation where the abuser has killed themselves, for the love of God and all that's holy, get yourself, get your kids into a damn good trauma therapist that understands personality disorders and how these people, and I use the term loosely, behave and how they control and how they manipulate and how they use death, murder, suicide as the ultimate control in order to hurt the target of abuse and the kids, because they don't care. Because remember, the kids to them mean nothing. They are an object to be used. And once they can't use them, they have no use to them. Seriously, once any of us, psychopaths narcissists do not look at either one, psychopaths or narcissists, do not look at other human beings as other human beings who have a rich, full life of emotion themselves. They don't. They look at other human beings as objects to be used. What can I get out of you? How can I use you? How can I get what I want? That's how they function. Okay. The biggest mistake we make is that we assume that they feel, number one, they don't, or that they think that we do, like we do, and they don't, because something is wrong up here. Okay. If they're psychopathic and it's primary, something's wrong up here. And if there's other personality disorders going on, they're not thinking clearly. There's that impulsivity, there's that vindictiveness, there's that callousness, there's that, all of that. So stop assuming that your ex, if they're abusive, is thinking normally or behaves like a normal human being or has feelings or empathy. They don't. They fake it. When they meet us and they do the love bombing, that's a mask. The abuse is the real them. The abuse is the real them. Let me just say that again. The abuse is the real them. That's who they are. This was not real. So you've got to understand that when they do a heinous act like that, that's who they really are. And it's all about control. And you're grieving the loss of the illusion, not the loss of the psychopath who killed themselves and burnt down the house and crashed the car and went through all the money. Who that is that's who they really are. This was not who they really are, but that's who you fell in love with. So it's complicated grief. It is complicated grief. And you're going to have to help your kids through this, because the kids are going to be like, what the, and so a trauma therapist is going to be absolutely essential. You've got to get a trauma therapist to help the kids understand it was not them. It was nothing they said. It was nothing they did. It wasn't, especially when the kids are like, I don't want to go over to mom or dad's house. And then mom or dad kills themselves. The kid's going to feel like it was their fault. It is not their fault. It is not their fault. And how dare that person do something to make a child think it is? You know what I'm saying? So there is that. Okay. Sorry. It makes me angry. It makes me angry because it's like and this is the last thing I'm going to say, and then I swear to God, I'm going to get to the questions. Hang on. When you are dealing with an abuser and you choose to leave them, I am not just whistling to hear myself whistle. When I tell you, if they are stalking you, if they are bombarding you with phone calls, if they are texting you nonstop, if they are emailing you nonstop, you've got to get an order of protection. They are crazy. They are dangerous. One of the articles, and I can't remember which one because I took them all down. One of the articles said, if it's a dark triad, narcissism with psychopathy, they are dangerous. And it said it right there. And I was like, yeah, they are, because they think that they're right. They have to win, and they're impulsive, and that makes them dangerous. So if they're stalking you, if they're threatening you, if they're doing anything that leads you to believe that they're going to harm you, you get a restraining order and you call on it every single time they violate it. Every single time. Yes, it is just a piece of paper. However, this is a paper trail that you're laying so that if they do try to attack you, or they, do some sort of legal maneuver, you have the paperwork that shows this person is unstable. This person has made threats. This person, do you see where I'm going with that? Because ultimately it is about protecting the kids and protecting you. So they're dangerous. They're dangerous. They're 110% dangerous. The dark triads are dangerous. They're the stalkers. They're the ones that kill. They are, because they're crazy. So yeah, I really hope that answers the question as to why would somebody kill themselves and burn the house down and destroy the car and blow through the money when they've got kids. It's because they don't care. They don't care. They truly do not care. They're all about the revenge. That's all they want. So anyway, there's that. Okay. Let me get to the question. Okay, hold on. Somebody's asking, can you do another show on control from a disordered person with examples? Some things mine did, I'm starting to think were control, even when we broke up. Yeah, I can talk about some of the red flags. I think that's probably a good one. So it's probably not going to be until, where are we now? We're in March. No, we're in February. I think I already have March's shows laid out. I will lay out April's shows, so that'll probably be in April. So we'll plan on doing that. And Colin, if you could remind me of that That would be great, so I don't forget. Okay. So control. Red flags. Okay. All right. Okay, let's go into the questions. Let's do that. Hang on. Okay. My mom is a dark triad. I am disabled and she took control of my money. So I have to take her to court. I'm afraid she will lie as usual and put me in a conservatorship if I try. Do I try? I would strongly suggest getting an advocate to help you. Get all your documentation together. She can lie all she wants, but if you've got all your documentation going together and you've got an advocate that's advocating for you, it makes it a lot harder for her to do manipulation of your finances and your body and everything else. So find a social worker. So I don't know what country you're in. I'm assuming it's the US. I could be wrong. But whatever country you're in, find a social worker or find a legal advocate that will take on your case, that will advocate for you. That would be my suggestion for that. All right. What are your thoughts on revealing the narc to himself as some radical self-healing? Oh, don't do it. Oh, dear God. Where did you hear that? It's obviously somebody who's not a psychologist. So you cannot fix them because you did not break them. Nobody can. I can't fix them. I'm a damn good therapist. Nobody can fix them. They are unfixable. They are unsalvageable. So I have heard this before from people. Well, I'm going to tell them. Don't. All that's going to do is they're going to then start diving through the psychology and they're going to come up with a bunch of psychobabble and they're going to flip the script and call you the narcissist. Don't freaking do it. They are unhelpable. Seriously. So if you tell a narcissist that they are a narcissist, they will come unfreaking hinged. Absolutely. And they will punish you and they will start studying psychology so that they know more than you do. And they'll start using psychobabble and they will abuse you with that. So there is that. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's not going to heal them. I constantly have to tell my clients, especially the new ones coming in that haven't watched my stuff or read my books, it's like you can't tell them that they're disordered. All they'll do is punish you more. And what do? That codependent part of them, that little kid part of them wants them fixed. So they tell them, and then the next time they come in, they tell me how they're being punished, or they tell me how they're now being told that they're the narcissist or whatever. So don't do it. Please, please, please don't do it. Okay, hold on. Do narc parents want their adult child to pay for them in old age? Yes. Late narc mother never worked, and then dad died, and she started dropping hints on how poor she was and how we should pay for her. Yes, 110%. They do that. They absolutely do that. Yeah. So a collapsed older narcissist, the nursing homes are filled with them. So they expect the kids, even though they abuse them, to take care of them. They absolutely do. And no, you're under no obligation. You are under no obligation. And yes, they do expect the kids to take care of them. They expect everybody to take care of them. They have a sense of entitlement the size of Nova Scotia. I mean, it's huge. They've got just a huge sense of entitlement. I mean, it's insane. So, or the size of Canada would actually be more, all of Canada. They have a sense of entitlement. They expect everybody to take care of them. Abso-freaking-lutely. And the older they get, the nastier they get. Okay, do disordered people pop up in public to stay in your view, to keep them on your mind, and to keep you lined up with them when they want you to come back? Absolutely. Absolutely. So here's the thing I need to warn you of. And I forgot to say this in the main part of the discussion, but I think this is important. Psychopaths and narcissists, dark triads, are not just exes. They can be family members. They can be mom, dad, sibling, etc. They are just as dangerous. So even though it's not a romantic partner, it's a family member, stay no contact. If they are psychopathic, stay no contact. And they're crazy. So what they will do, and remember, we just got through Hoover season, they'll wait 10, 15, 20, 30 years and suddenly reach out again. And if the more psychopathic they are, and this kind of goes back to the question of the old elder parent, the more demanding they are. You better talk to me. You better contact me. If you don't want to be written out of the will, you better get a hold of me. So if you've gone no contact with a family member, hang on. If you've gone no contact with a family member, stay no contact. If they reach out and hoover you and they're doing this whole threatening thing, I'm going to cut you out of the will. I'll get you, my pretty. They sound like the Wicked Witch of the West. Have you ever noticed that? Very vindictive, I'll get you, my pretty. That kind of, they're awful. And they think that they can use the carrot of an inheritance to get people to come back. So in this case, the kid had not spoken to this person in 10, 15, 20 years. The parent suddenly comes back and starts demanding, like threatening. And at the end, it was like, well, if you want to be written out of the will, if you don't want to be written out of the will, I need a response by 7 p.m. tonight. No response. And I was like, good, because no response is a response, And yeah, they're crazy. And then they'll switch tactics. And I warned them of this. I said, okay, the next thing, when that doesn't work, when the hammer doesn't work, then they're going to use the velvet glove. And I said, be prepared. It's going to be a guilt trip. And it was. And the next thing that came out was this whole, what would Jesus do? And I'm like, Jesus would probably get a whip and get you the hell out of the temple, bitch. It's just like, hello, communal narcissist. It's like, you can't threaten somebody and then do the 2.0 Jesus thing and expect people to come be with you. It's either they want to be with you or they don't. And clearly they don't. So yeah, the parents can be psychopaths, 110%. And what's especially crazy about this is that the last thing said was, don't contact me even if I'm on my deathbed. So, the person didn't contact them even if they, was going to be on their deathbed. But then 10, 15, 20 years later, parent comes back and starts demanding. Crazy. So the only thing to do is to stay no contact, don't respond, don't engage, don't explain. Don't get into a pissing match with a skunk. Let me just say that again. Never get into a pissing match with a skunk. That goes for exes, that goes for family. Because these people, what they're doing is they're baiting you. They're trying to fish. They're trying to bait you. And they want you to take the bait. And they want you to argue with them because that is their narcissistic supply. That is their cocaña. That's their cocaine. That's how they get off on things. So don't respond. Give them nothing. Let them sit and stew because it's not your problem. Now, I will say this. I do think they're dangerous. I do. Especially if they have access to guns and especially if they're vindictive and especially if they think they're right. And so my suggestion would be if there are any threats of any kind from a parent, from a sibling, from an ex, from whatever, you file a restraining order. Abso-freaking-lutely. If there haven't been any threats and it's just this vague kind of, oh, I'm going to cut you off, blah, blah, blah. Okay, leave it alone. Let it drop. No response is a response. I would, however, be very aware of your surroundings. I would carry pepper spray. I would alert neighbors, and always be conscientious of who's around. Because these people, like I said, they don't think normally. That's not a normal way that a parent acts. If for some ungodly reason I'd ever been separated from my great nieces and nephews and they weren't talking to me, first of all, I would honor that, not talking, except that in this case, the abuser is the one that said, don't talk. So, but if I was going to reach out and try to reestablish a relationship, I would be like, what did I do? Let's get with a therapist. Let's build this relationship again. Oh my God, if I said or did anything, I want to make amends. Do you see where I'm going with that? But the way a psychopath comes at it is, oh, we're both wrong. We both did things wrong. You were the one that said you wanted no contact. So, it's crazy. Or they'll accuse the kid of doing things that they didn't do. Or they'll smear the kid to other family members, which is common, So, yeah. So that's They're insane. They truly, truly, truly are insane, and they're dangerous. I think they're dangerous. You have a dark triad. They're dangerous because you've got that impulsivity going on, and you've got that incredibly strong sense of revenge. They have to be vengeful. So yeah, they're dangerous. Absolutely. All right, let me see if there's any other questions that I missed. And do they pop up in public to stay in your view? Yes, they do. They stalk. That's what they do. So they'll just kind of accidentally on purpose be at the gym, or accidentally on purpose be at the grocery store you shop at, or accidentally on purpose be on the bike trail that you go on, or whatever. Yeah, they want to be the first thing you think about in the morning and the last thing you think about at night. And yes, they do that to keep you hooked, to keep you on edge. A lot of times what psychopaths, dark triads, narcissists, control freaks do is they want you to be afraid, and they want you to be fearful of what they're going to do, which is why I'm saying, yes, I want you to be aware. Yes, I want you to be awake. Yes, I want you to be aware of your surroundings, but continue on. Just carry pepper spray and let people know, So, yeah, they're crazy. I had a stalker a few years ago, and I had to file a restraining order. And this person was nuts. This person was insane and wanted to make sure that I knew that, she was watching me. And I'm like, yeah, well, every time you do that, person, I am reporting it to the police and I'm keeping a file. So they're crazy. And of course, when the person realized that there were going to be legal repercussions, they stopped. So, and they're also cowards. They tend to be cowards. However, if you're dealing with somebody who truly is psychopathic, narcissistic, dark triad, control freak, they're a loose cannon. They're unpredictable, and that's what makes them dangerous. So you don't know what they're going to do, and you do want to be careful, but you also don't want to live your life in fear. So you do what you can to protect yourself. You do what you can to protect your family, but you do not allow yourself to live in fear. All right, my loves, I think that is it for today. I don't think there's any other questions. All right, bunnies. So I don't know what I'm talking about next week. I'll say it on Wednesday because my brain, gone. So take good care of yourselves. We are getting our new puppy, Lucky Lou, this afternoon. So I'm very excited. You guys all be good to yourselves. Yeah, that's it. All right, my loves, I will talk to you. I hope this was helpful. If you guys have questions or you want to see future shows, control, I remembered, I will write it down. Just either put it in the chat, or you can go over to We Need to Talk with Chris Godinez on Facebook and, put it in the I am over there and let me know what you want me to talk about. That kind of thing. I'm always open to topics because the more people who get help, the more people who are educated on this, the more people who are aware of this, the less they're going to be able to abuse. So yay team. All right, guys, you guys be good. And I will talk to you on Wednesday with any questions that I missed. And I'll talk to you on Sunday. All right. Talk to you guys later. Bye.